Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. Week 10, baby. We got to revamp our roster. So what we talking? We're talking week number 10, waiver wire must add players. Lots of players we got to recover from injury-wise. Players are starting to come back, but the wire is getting extremely thin. There are still talents that we could snag off this waiver wire this week. Bye-week troubles this week: Kansas City Chiefs, the LA Rams, Miami Dolphins, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's not a drastic, bye-week event. But, like I said, it is thin on this wire. But let's talk running backs. We got Keaton Mitchell, Baltimore Ravens, East Carolina product, undrafted rookie free agent. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury basically this entire season. Finally, they were able to unleash this madness past week, and he repaid these Baltimore Ravens, likely on a few rosters, only 2.5% ownership rate right now. We've been waiting. I've been waiting for this man to showcase it. He's 5'8", under 190 pounds, extremely fast, 4.37 on the 40 time, but he plays tougher than what he is. He's a very good talent, and this definitely signifies the potential for a J.K. Dobbins no longer here with the Ravens in the future. If Mitchell can continue to move forward with a Gus Edwards, Gus the Bus, there is potential here. Mitchell definitely has to be your priority running back waiver right now as the Baltimore Ravens continue to showcase their running ability, because they will not stop. Zach Charbonnet, he's on the list as well. And so we're seeing split touches now happen with a Kenny Walker III. Yes, game script did foil Kenny this past week. They decided they were getting blown out. There was no chance for running attack, but he is still, Charbonnet, one of the best handcuffs you're going to get off the waiver wire for running backs right now. And at this point, you got to hedge your bets on some of your big ballers at the running back spot, and Charbonnet definitely needs to be on your roster, especially for all Kenny Walker owners. Find a way to get him on, because we absolutely need him. I got shares of Kenny, and I got Charbonnet sitting on my bench, because you got to hedge your bets. There's no question about that. Notable additions at the running back spot. Like I said, it is extremely thin. This is not good. But we got to find ways to at least get some players on our bench. Tajay Spears, again, big-time handcuff for Derrick Henry. If he does go down, we could see volume upside for him. 37% ownership rate right now. He will get sprinkled in with touches, but his top-end point productivity will be capped immensely every single week with Derrick Henry still running the ball. Ty Chandler finds his way back on my board as a notable addition, potential priority as well. Now that we understand that Cam Akers has once again torn his Achilles this past week. Absolutely dreadful for the man. He came back from the Achilles the season prior, and now again he rips the Achilles. So it's not good news for him. Prayers up for Cam Akers. But Ty Chandler, I've always been a supporter of the man. I think he's very much underrated, and once he gets on the field, he should be able to at least do some business. But now they're going to be utilizing Alexander Mattison a lot more. Ty Chandler is definitely on the radar for being the change of pace running back who could see some sprinkles of touches now with the Vikings. Antonio Gibson, he finds a way back on my radar for PPR upside only. And this only comes into play now that Curtis Samuel has been dealing with that toe injury. So if Samuel continues to be out, I think Gibson's role continues to be at least decently viable with a safer floor in this Washington Commanders offense. Yes, the offense in the running back room does go through a Brian Robinson, but Gibby is now back on the radar for at least some decent PPR upside if you're struggling for running backs. Devin Singletary, his role is only going to be here so long as Dameon Pierce is out. And this run game in Houston has not been good either way. That's why he's a little bit further down my board. The motor, he's good. They just hasn't had an opportunity in this offense, and C.J. Stroud continues to ball out, so it is likely going to continue this way to be more pass-happy than running upside for the Houston Texans. Jamal Williams, he's on the list, 29% ownership rate right now. And the only reason he's on here right now is because of volume share. He's seen snaps go up to at least 49-50% right now, splitting at least the snap counts with an Alvin Kamara the past several weeks. So it is interesting to see how this backfield is shaping out. He will start to take potential goal line upside, but that right now is being taken by a Taysom Hill. So right now he's just on my watch list as his role continues to grow. An injury does happen. He will see more goal line touches, absolutely. But at this point, he is not fantasy viable. He is just on my watch list. Same with Keontae Ingram. I just heard that the 21-day window is going to be opened up for a James Conner. So we definitely got to understand that Ingram might be the last week that we could potentially utilize his volume upside, even though it was not good last week with a Clayton Tune. We got Kyler Murray coming back from the injury, and they are saying that he's going to play this week. So we'll see, man. If Connor does not pass 21-day window, then Ingram should have at least a volume upside once again this week. Uncle Lenny finds his way back on my list. Leonard Fournette back with the Buffalo Bills. Okay, now he's viable once again because Lat Murray is dealing with a PCL strain, and this is not good for Lat, but it is good for Uncle Lenny. But the Bills, this offense is just not clicking. It's not looking good. Maybe Uncle Lenny can bring something to this offense as well. James Cook kind of stumbling. They're not running the football as well as they had early on this season. So Lenny is definitely back on the radar for change of pace, at least some change of pace volume. I don't know if we'll see it in this Bills offense this week as well, but he definitely should be on your roster at this point just in case he starts to pick up steam and the Bills decide to run the football again. Jaleel McLaughlin from the Denver Broncos. He's on the list for PPR upside, even though Vontae is running extremely well before they went into the bye week. The Broncos do play the Bills, so you know they're going to try to run the football a lot in this contest. McLaughlin could be that, altering piece to at least attack the Bills defense through the air and be, the quick change of pace back as well. There is PPR upside for him as well. As for the running back handcuffs, Tank Bigsby and Eli Mitchell definitely still grace my list because if an Etienne or a CMC go down, these two gentlemen will be inserted instantly as your running back one on your fantasy team because volume upside will definitely be key for these gentlemen. But like I said, running back is extremely thin, even though it is a hot priority in fantasy football. Quarterback time. Russell Wilson, let's ride. The Bills play the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. You could do a lot worse than Russell Wilson this week. He's been at least decently fantasy viable this season. 140 points, almost 140 points on the year. And at least they're moving the football. Yes, there will be, inadequacy in time of turnover, but Russell Wilson is a very good filler for you versus a Bills defense that is dealing with a lot of injuries. So, at this point, you could see Russell Wilson's floor in this contest be somewhere around the 15-point threshold, so that's not too bad if you're looking for a fill-in streaming quarterback. You've been doing that all year. Russell Wilson is definitely one I would definitely consider this week. Baker Mayfield, the Bake Show. What can we say about Baker? He's been doing extremely well with these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was a great contest versus the Houston Texans this past week. And, he's good. Facing the Tennessee Titans defense that has, issues among itself. And, in the past game, Baker should be able to at least move this football. It is in Tampa Bay, so I do like the stream of Baker this week as well. And as, Mike Evans continues to, rehab from his hammy injury, they're starting to find Rachaad White as well. So there is a check down opportunity, and the points should make that much better for a safer floor for a Baker Mayfield. Josh Dobbs, what did we witness? What did I see this past weekend with Dobbs, man? He comes traded to the Minnesota Vikings, and he absolutely balls out for the victory. Okay, no tape on Dobbs in. The Falcons didn't have him pegged to start, so the game plan definitely had to change. So he had the advantage this past week. The tape will be out now. The teams will game plan for him this week. The New Orleans Saints defense is still very good, so they're going to have a good plan for Dobbs. But he looked good. Now you got Addison, potentially JJ coming back. Dobbs could be this decent guy that we're getting at the quarterback spot, who's going to give you another very safe floor with good, rushing upside. So Dobbs is definitely one. You've been streaming quarterbacks looking for one to at least, peg in as your starter. Dobbs is definitely there for you as well. Kyler Murray, 47% ownership rate. He's coming back. Okay, the first game back should be extremely rusty. I don't foresee him, putting up a lot of points versus these Atlanta Falcons, but at least get him on your roster, especially if you have room and you've been streaming quarterbacks, because he could be one of these saviors fantasy football-wise. Maybe not for the Arizona Cardinals, but at least for fantasy football, he should be able to at least do the dynamic playmaking ability if that knee is healed. So I do like it. They said, barring any issues in practice this week, Kyler Murray is definitely going to play this week, so definitely watch out for that. He should be at least a priority pickup versus the Atlanta Falcons defense. Gardner Minshew taking on these New England Patriots. Nearly 100 points. Didn't look great this past week versus the Panthers defense, but he looks good enough to at least give us some good point productivity. Yes, Josh Downs still dealing with that injury, but at least he's finding his tight ends on the regular. Michael Pittman's role needs to expand that much more to help A. Minshew, and then the run game. So install more play action pass would absolutely help A. Minshew, but versus New England Patriots this week, I do like the streaming option, 18% ownership. Will Levis versus those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, he started great, 4 touchdowns first contest, and then he kind of found ways back to stumble, and I was expecting that versus Steelers defense, but he did show some moxie in that, fourth quarter, trying to come back for the victory. Will Levis is definitely one of these guys, man. Like I said, that arm talent is elite, the release is elite, and he's going to be able to uplift this offense. DeAndre Hopkins, and Treylon Burks, as long as he can stay on the field. Yes, health has been a massive issue for Burks, but even Kyle Phillips getting in the mix. Now we're starting to see at least somebody fill this roster with fantasy viable players. Will Levis is definitely on my radar this week versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary that gives up a lot of points. Wide receiver time. This is kind of the meat and potatoes this week of the waiver wire. We're Tank Dell. What did I tell y'all last week? I've been telling y'all for 3 weeks now that Tank had to be on your roster. If you waited too long, you're too late because you probably have no fab dollars to spend. If you have some, use all your fab dollars on a Tank Dell because I told y'all this Houston Texan team and my guy CJ Stroud are absolutely killing it, and the ceiling is huge for these guys. Tank Dell, man, 51% ownership. So if he is there on your waiver, use all your fab on this man. 86 points, and he had the full breakout game. I told you all on Start Sit 2 weeks ago, everyone was saying, play Tank Dell. I said, do not do it. He's coming back from the concussion, and he should see limited targets. This past week, I told y'all on Start Sit, this was the blow-up week for a Tank Dell, and it happened. Absolutely repaid us with 26 points, leading wide receiver in fantasy football. Thank you, Tank Dell. You made me look like an absolute genius. He needs to be on your roster, 110%. Tyler Boyd, next one as a priority waiver wire addition. 52.2% for Tyler Boyd. The only reason he's on here right now is the potential health injury of the back of Jamar Chase. So definitely watch out for that one because he said he could be sitting a week or two to get his back healthy again. If that does transpire, Tyler Boyd's stock absolutely increases and he would insert as your wide receiver 2 right away to help your fantasy club. If Chase is going to play, then this evaluation is moot and you understand what I'm saying. But if Chase is out for at least 1 to 2 weeks, you can at least fill in with a Tyler Boyd because he will see a lot of targets. Noah Brown is on the list as well if you miss out on Tank Dell. What else can I say but Noah Brown, 1.4% ownership, and he looks like he may have this expanded role in this offense. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods has been dealing with an injury. Now they needed somebody to step up, and Noah Brown has definitely done that. He's answered the bell. This could continue, even if Robert Woods does come back. I especially liked how Noah Brown played this past week. The speed looked great. The hands looked good. Route tree looked good. He was getting open separation-wise. Noah Brown should definitely continue to see his role expanded in this offense, and he needs to be owned at least as a wait and see, because if he does continue to pop off the way CJ Stroud is playing, he's able to support multiple pieces on this offense, and Brown definitely looked good. OBJ is back on the list, barely. If we're looking for wide receivers, flex appeal, there is potential here. The Ravens are moving in the right direction, but it took, I believe, a Tyler Huntley to get OBJ his touchdown because Lamar was sitting on the bench because the game was so out of hand. This is a problem. At least he got it, the monkey off his back, so to speak. Got into the end zone, and at least he's going to, hopefully build off of that. They brought OBJ to be the, X factor in this offense in the pass game to support his Zay Flowers, and Zay's been killing us as well. We want to see a lot more in this pass game, but OBJ is definitely back on my radar. Jaden Reed from the Green Bay Packers. Okay, Christian Watson, again, dealing with another injury. He's turning into a massive Band-Aid for these Packers. He cannot stay on the field. And, guys that run with such elite speed like he does, always dealing with the soft tissue injuries. Reed at least is here right now to replace that. If he does sit, Reed would be an absolute low-end wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 3 in a Packers offense that is starting to try to figure things out with a Jordan Love. I don't hate the pickup for a Reed if Watson is out once again. Rashid Shaheed, what did I tell y'all, man? He is going to be the epitome of boom or bust as the season does continue to move forward. Told y'all it was a boom game for Chris Olave. Not the high-end boom, but he at least got us the boom this past week. There's got to be more dedication to Chris Olave now that Shaheed has at least threatened the fact that he can go deep and the safeties have to account for his services. This will open up room for Chris Olave. So, Shaheed is the ultimate boom or bust. Definite matchup play. Watch the teams that give up big, deep shots, and that's when the days you play Shaheed. Quentin Johnston, He graces my list, Mr. Body Catcher, because of the IR of a Josh Palmer. Palmer got sent to the IR with that knee injury. Not surprised. He couldn't even finish that previous contest 2 weeks ago. Now Quentin Johnston is going to likely see the role at least somewhat expanded, but we didn't see it this past week on Monday Night Football versus the New York Jets, so that is a big concern. The separation just isn't there. He is a body catcher. It is a big problem when it comes to contested catches. He's got to figure it out. He's still raw. Like I've been saying about QJ all the time this offseason, it will take time. He's a raw talent, but he's got supreme abilities. They got to utilize this man with the slants, the hooks and goes, and then the yak ability. Get the ball in his hands and let him make business in the open field. That's how you utilize Q Johnston. Still waiting for it to come to fruition in this offense. Has not happened just yet. He is definitely on the watch list, if not a bench stash at this point. Jameson Williams, as the Detroit Lions come off the bye week, I'm going to be early on this one, and I don't care. If I got room on my bench, I'm definitely going for a JMO because he will eventually figure it out, and once he does, it's going to absolutely pop in this Detroit Lions offense that still is moving the ball extremely well. Jared Goff is able and is proven to support multiple pieces in this offense, and once JMO figures out his dropping problem, I think it's going to be sky's the limit for this man, so I will be early. If I got room, especially in deeper leagues, JMO is definitely going to be on my bench. Pop Douglas, New England Patriots. Okay, everybody was gushing over this man this past week because of the injuries to Kendrick Bourne, Parker, and such. I'm like, okay, how do you expect the New England Patriots to just automatically, start throwing targets to Pop Douglas and say he's going to be a wide receiver one in this offense? They do not know how to utilize the team right now in this offense. He's okay. He's a great talent, lots of speed, but you got to get the ball in his hands to at least produce these points. Right now, Pop can be on your bench. I'm okay with that to wait and see, but I would temper the expectations for top end point productivity from this man because this offense in New England is just not good enough to support multiple pieces. Curtis Samuel's still dealing with the toe, but he's on 36.6% ownership rate. And now the evolution of Jahan Dotson has now come to pass now that Curtis is out. So definitely watch out for the injury report right now. If you're stuck for a wide receiver, he's been good for PPR upside, but I would definitely look in other directions right now. Treylon Burks, similarly, can this man ever stay on the field? It's the biggest problem. He's made of glass at this point, and this was not in my scouting report. He stayed relatively healthy, dealt with some hiccups in college, but this has been bad so far coming into the NFL. It's not good, man. He's not seen a lot of time on the field, just on the notable list right now because Will Levis is absolutely able to support multiple pieces in this offense. And Treylon Burks, once he stays on the field, he'll definitely figure that one out as well. 25% ownership. He will pop eventually. I just don't think it's in the coming weeks. We got to wait and see on this man. Last one in deeper leagues, again, going with the Jamar Chase situation, Andre Yosevash. I told y'all, man, the Terminator is on my list. I love this kid. I think he's so talented, very much underrated. Princeton, smart boy. He's good. And if Chase does go down, there could be an expanded role for Andre Yosevash in deeper leagues especially. Don't necessarily see it in 12-man leagues, 14 to 16 maybe. But, we got to understand if Chase is out, we got to see the roles, how they do play, even though they were starting to sprinkle in the tight end also. We will see how this does roll out. But if Chase is out, Yosevash could absolutely see a lot more sprinkles of target share. Tight ends, let's finish this off with Taysom Hill once again. Told y'all last week he needed to be owned and played, and he repaid us with almost 20-point spot once again. They are utilizing Taysom a lot in this offense, and I don't foresee that stopping whatsoever. He's playing absolutely lights-out football, throwing the ball, running the football, and catching the football. This guy's just a football player. It's annoying when you have guys like, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and you want those guys getting the touchdowns. It's bloody annoying because he's the ultimate vulture, Mr. Taysom Hill. But when you have Taysom on your roster as your tight end, you're loving life because he's an absolute freak, just putting up lots of points. Taysom needs to be on 51% ownership. May not be there for you anymore, but I would absolutely grab his services, especially for those dealing with Darren Waller injuries. Trey McBride, similarly as well, gets an uplift for me. I told you all to bench him this past week. It was to your benefit. Now we can actually say with Kyler coming back, his role could be expanded also, especially early on, as Kyler does get more comfortable back with the football play on the field. McBride could be that safety blanket he looks to a lot, especially in check down opportunity, and red zone upside. Trey McBride, 52% ownership rate. He is one talented mofo, and he will absolutely play ball. Jonnu Smith, man, I should take a victory lap right now and just, drop the mic right now. I told y'all last week, start Jonnu Smith, and what did he do for us? Because Drake London was out, it's such an easy evaluation for this Atlanta Falcons offense and how they try to move the ball with a Tyler Heineke. I think Jonnu is got a role in this offense, and that will absolutely continue even when Drake comes back, which he should be this week from what I'm seeing. Jonnu Smith is a good pickup, but it won't be 20 points every week, so you got to temper the expectations. But Jonnu is in this offense to the point that we can at least trust as, I want to say in matchup play still, but we can trust him almost on the weekly. He's doing very well, almost 70 points for us right now for tight ends. Hunter Henry, likewise, man, the victory laps. This was tight end week. I told y'all all the inexperience at the quarterback spot. We saw a lot of tight ends pop off, including Hunter Henry, who I did say was going to score a touchdown this week because of all the injuries to the wide receivers. We know how Mac Money Jones plays football. We even saw Ramondre get back in the mix because of the wide receiver injuries. Everyone thought it was Pop Douglas. I told y'all it was not. I said it was Hunter Henry and it was Ramondre more so than anybody else. He pops back on the touchdown list, and I think we can grab him once again in matchup play because there is potential here now that the wide receivers are injured and Juju is dropping passes. They're going to go to the old reliable in Hunter Henry. Luke Musgrave finds his way back. I told y'all I want to see more of it. Finds his way into the end zone. At least he got my attention this past week. Maybe his role continues to move forward now, and he could be that safety blanket for a Jordan Love. I do like the man. I like his game, but it's how this offense is moving has been my issue. He's now back on my radar. I would absolutely look for other streaming tight end options before Luke Musgrave, but he is back on the radar at this point. Cade Otton found his way into the end zone this past week. Looked good. Maybe this is something of signs to come because Otton is a good talent. Also, Baker Mayfield is finding and spreading the ball to majority of his wide receivers. Otton's success this past week came at the expense of a Chris Godwin. Did not see that one come in. I will admit on that one, where I take victory laps, I got to tell y'all where I'm not correct. And Otton, he was the fixture that Baker was going to, and I mean, this could continue again, but it's going to be one of these things that you're going to see maybe 1 out of 3 weeks moving forward where you see Otton getting his touches. May not see it this week. Just look at the matchups, and then we can move forward for that, man. Okonkwo is back on the list because of a Will Levis. Lower floor than you want to see, but I mean, what are we getting from the tight end spot these days anyway? 5 to 6 points is likely your floor. If he finds his way into the end zone, he should pop over 10 points. So he is one of these guys. If the team, I don't like this to preach matchup play, for every player because some guys are just too good to make the plays anyway. But Okonkwo is definitely one of these matchup streaming tight ends that we can look to. Similarly to an Ogletree from these Indianapolis Colts. Now with Josh Downs dealing with that injury, watch the injury report for him as well. Ogletree will see his target share influx as well because they require that slot weapon. They require the red zone upside, and he's been doing decently enough. Not great high-end totals, but decently enough, especially if you're in deeper leagues and struggling for the tight end spot. Irv Smith, similarly to that as well. The Cincinnati Bengals finally utilized this man versus the Bills, gave the Bills something that they haven't seen on film is the tight end usage in Cincinnati. He's just on my watch list at this point. I want to see way more consistency before I say go pick this man up. And then the notables for next week because the Eagles are on the bye because we saw that Dallas Goedert is on the IR, fractured forearm. So Jack Stoll is likely going to be the priority tight end in this offense where they may not even utilize a tight end moving forward. It might just be more touches going to a Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown and then potentially the running backs with DeAndre Swift and Gainwell. But somebody's got to play tight end for these Eagles in this high-powered offense. So Stoll likely has the first right to refusal. And then Albert Okwukabunum. I can't even say Taylor Bagent, but I can say Okwukabunum. Hey, we all get our moments sometimes, man. I should take a bow and drop the mic right now. But Okwukabunum is a good talent as well. And maybe he finds his way onto the field in double tight end sets. Maybe he jumps a Stoll. It's definitely an evolving situation for the tight end spot for these Philadelphia Eagles. But I would go Stoll over in Okwukabunum at this point. And, I mean, it's tough sledding if you're looking at those guys for tight end point productivity. But there you have it. That is week number 10, waiver wire must-add players. I mean, this is a tough situation, man. We still are in this. If you have anywhere from 3 to 5 wins, you are still in this thing, man. There's still, 5-6 weeks left until the playoffs of fantasy football playoffs, and we are still alive. Most leagues that have 18 playoffs, you only require, 6 wins typically with points for to get in. So this thing is definitely not over, so we will absolutely make it. Follow me, and I'll get you there. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.